Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Can we all hear me? Can we all hear me? Good
Yes,
afternoon,
we can. Yes,
blessing.
we can.
Enara Odiga and Ifan Chukwu. Enara Odiga and okay. Before we start the program for today, let's just do a quick icebreaker. I'll call on those mentees already on the call. I'll just pick anybody randomly. I'll call on you. Please just prepare yourself to tell us how Gypsy Mentorship and Internship program has been so far. How is the online Zoom meetings? How is discussions with your group members and everything? Just how the whole experience is. Just give us a brief summary of it. I'll just give everybody 60 seconds. I'm calling on Blessing Oguntuase to just give us a brief summary of how Gypsy Mentorship is going from her own end. Blessing, can you hear me?
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Okay, so Gypsy Mentorship so far has been very enlightening. It's nice to have the responsibility of doing your own research before, we have our sessions, because when the mentors then talk, you already have an insight of what they are saying, and it just builds on that. And how it has been so far with the group setting has also been, I'd say it's been a good opportunity because you learn to work with people that you've never seen, you've never met, and are from different walks of life. So that builds your interpersonal skills, in my opinion. Yeah, that's it for me.
Thank you very much, Blessing, for that summary and that experience, sharing that experience you had with Gypsy. I'm calling on Ifan Chukwu to also give us a brief summary in 60 seconds how experience with Gypsy Mentorship has been so far. Ifan Chukwu, sorry.
Hello, good afternoon. No worries. Good afternoon, everybody. My experience has been very, very enlightening because I get to read about the areas before the streaming, the live stream, the classes, and it has also helped me streamline my study of data protection. And I enjoy the course. I found that I like it. So yeah, and I like the mentors because they are highly professional and they have knowledge in the areas. And yeah.
Thank you very much, Ifunanya Chukwu. I will be calling on the last mentee to just give us a quick summary of our experience with Gypsy Mentorship so far, with the group presentation, the group research, and also the online meetings. So I'm calling on Enara Odiga. Enara Odiga, kindly unmute yourself and give us a 60 seconds brief summary of your experience with Gypsy so far. Enara, you're on the call. Okay, I can see you have unmuted yourself, so you can start now.
Sorry, I lost my network. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
The mentorship program so far has been very enlightening. It's been a way of me stepping out of my comfort zone because ordinarily I don't think I would have carried things to read about data protection and all, but it has really enlightened me, coupled with researching before the sessions and then getting to associate with other people, other people to get their perspective. It has been amazing so far.
Thank you very much, Enara. Thank you very much to all the mentees that spoke just now about their experience of Gypsy Mentorship and Internship Program. I can see our mentors are on the call. So good afternoon, Mr. Emmanuel Ewere, Good afternoon, Mr. Solomon Okedara. We are all excited to and anticipating to hear from you on the topic for today, which is data breach management, understanding data breach, their impacts, detection and response, best practice for data breach management. That's the topic and the subtopic for today discussion. Quickly before we start, I just let our mentors know that they will be called upon immediately after my announcement to give us a quick overview for like 15 minutes about the topic, Mr. Emmanuel and Mr. Solomon Ekedera. So my announcements for today. Firstly, I will start with introducing JIIPCC Mentorship and Internship Program to everyone. Quickly, let me share my screen. The JIIPCC Mentorship and Internship Program. Oh, I'm echoing. I'm echoing. JIIPCC Mentorship and Internship Program is a quarterly program for students and young professionals in Africa and across the world. Mentees are afforded the opportunity to access valuable advice, training, network, mentorship, internship, discussion forum, industry updates, and resource materials from experienced mentors. The program seeks to encourage continuous training, development, and evolution in Nigeria and Africa and around the world. You can watch some of our videos on our social media platforms, search by using hashtag JIIPCC MIP. Some of the objectives of the program is to access easy access to guidance, training, resource materials, and for students and young professionals to facilitate dialogue, network among experienced and less experienced practitioners and stakeholders, to transform mentees into mentors and leaders for the next generation, and to facilitate further mentorship, internship, scholarship, and job placements for its mentees. That's the about JIIPCC and our objectives. I'll also be announcing that JIIPCC Mentorship is currently seeking for mentees for the next quarter of the program on the courses you can see on your screen: entertainment, business law, data protection and privacy, fintech industry, the blockchain, NFTs and metaverse, and intellectual property. So you kindly share the flyers with your friends and your colleagues that are interested in either of the courses to register through the link. And lastly, you have a 30-minute one-on-one session opportunity as a JIIPCC mentee with your favorite JIIPCC mentor to get live hacks, secret live lessons, and directions from your favorite mentor. That's the announcements for today. Quickly, I'll also be sharing our mentor's profile for today. I'm starting with Mr. Emmanuel Ewere. Hope you can all see him on the screen. Emmanuel Ewere is a well-versed in digital realm due to his work as a technology lawyer. He works in the United Arab Emirates and Europe and provides services like software license agreements, hosting agreements, and telecom contracts, as well as data protection and intellectual property rights service to IT companies. He is constantly learning about modern technology and the risks that comes with implementing these new technologies. He was awarded a master's degree in information technology law from the University of Tartu in Estonia. Thank you very much for joining us today, Mr. Emmanuel Ewere. Let's all welcome him on the chat box with our reactions. Thank you. And our second mentor for today is our profound mentor,
our expert, our guru in data protection and privacy, Mr. Solomon Okedara, a barrister and solicitor of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. He's a practicing legal practitioner and researcher with 14 years post-call experience and outstanding expertise in human rights, with a special bias for digital rights, including data protection and privacy, digital identity, online expression, intellectual property, e-commerce, tech, and corporate transaction, and artificial intelligence, having an unusual knack for excellence and matchless client satisfaction with a view of delivering maximal results, armed with a peerless ability to, in creative legal research and analysis, delivering impressive results in review of law, legal principles, and standards. Mr. Solomon is a partner at Solomon Okedera and Co., a firm of barristers and solicitors, and co-founded Digital Rights Lawyer Initiative, a non-for-profit NGO that focuses on promotion and protection of digital rights. Solomon is a strategic litigation lawyer with a robust interest and proven expertise in freedom of expression and digital rights litigation. He has litigated on digital rights and freedom of expression subjects in courts across Nigeria up to the Supreme Court, and he has conducted cases at the ECOWAS court, among others. Mr. Solomon was in 2020 recognized as one of the top 50 individuals leading in legal innovations in Africa at the African Legal Innovation Award. Mr. Solomon currently serves as a legal researcher with Columbia University in the city of New York for the Ivy League School's Global Freedom of Expression project, where he analyzes judgments bordering on freedom of expression subjects covering over 120 jurisdictions across the world, including United States, Europe, India, and Africa, among others. He is a 2016 research fellow recipient of International Center for Not-for-Profit Law, ICNL, Washington, D.C. He was specially recognized in 2017 Hero of Human Rights by Access Now. Mr. Solomon was specially recognized as a finalist at the 2018 Global Freedom of Expression Prize of Columbia University. Thank you very much for taking out time. We know you have a very busy schedule, but you always make out time to be with us. We truly appreciate your time with us, and thank you very much for joining us today, Mr. Solomon. So I'll be calling on the first mentor for today, Mr. Emmanuel Ewewe, will take the floor first, giving us an overview, an introduction to the topic for today, data breaches management, and the subtopic is understanding data breaches and their impacts, detection and response, best practice for data breaches management. Thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel Ewewe, as you take the floor.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, sir, we can hear you loud and clear, sir.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and it's my pleasure to join you once again. And also, Mr. Solomon, nice to meet you once again. So, to give an overview about data breaches, I would say that with emerging technologies coming up day by day and taking center place in our day-to-day life, one of the biggest challenges that this emerging technology stand to face include data breaches. And these data breaches have become a very big concern to individuals and also to organizations. And this data breach could occur when a sensitive information is accessed, is modified, is stolen, or without authorization. And this kind of information could be financial information, could be trade secret, could be personal information. And to effectively manage this data breach, there's a standard that's required for organizations, which included them having a standard management procedure and having a breach management system plan on ground. And to understand data breach properly, you must know how to detect it, how to manage it, and the impact of such breach. Because such breach usually have a significant consequence on the organization. As I said earlier, these consequences could include financial loss, could include reputational damage, and also legal liabilities. And in summary, I would say that there are certain responsibilities that every organization is supposed to have in place to ensure that they have a good data management plan on ground, which would include network monitoring, employee training, incident report, and incident response plan, and okay, I think that'll be all for my overview for now. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel Ewiri, for that brief introduction and overview on the topic. Coming back to you to give us comments and corrections on our mentee's presentation. For now, we'll be calling on Mr. Solomon Okedara to take the floor and also give us a 15 minutes introduction to the topic for today.
Yes, good evening, everyone. It's always exciting to be here. And good evening, the amazing comment of Mr. Emmanuel. And you just set a standard for me. And I think I'm actually a very lengthy talker. And but then I think I will actually have to build on the precedent you set this evening. The amazing thing for me is that I think it's a good one we actually do. And we will also love to learn from the mentees. You'll see things from their views and their perspective. Now, giving an overview of data breach and the management, of course, I think after the presentation, there's a question on whether data breach and data leak are the same thing or they mean two different things. And of course, I'm sure giving responses, to that from me and from Mr. Emmanuel, and of course, analyzing the presentations will give us a more robust view. But starting from where Mr. Emmanuel stopped, now, quite frankly, data breach is a big issue, a big threat. And for us, maybe many of us who are actually following happenings around us, we came across the story about the Babcock University data breach that happened a couple of days ago. Now, the university management had actually circular me an opinion on that. What is their position? And of course, the good thing is that the university did not deny it. That's a responsible stance to take. So when we are talking about data breach is actually a threat to everything you represent as a data controller, because it goes to the root of your dignity. It goes to the root of your responsibility to your data subjects and all of that. So, and if we need to go back to the principles of data protection we shared, I think the last time when I gave the general overview, we talked about a principle called privacy enhancing technology, PET. As a data controller, you have a duty by law to ensure that you install a PET for the purpose of comprehensive of personal data or data subjects. Now, the truth is that whenever there's a story of data breach, whether it was a sophisticated attack on your storage facility or a basic one, it wouldn't matter. What matters is that you have jeopardized the privacy of your data subject. And that becomes issue. That actually has a bearing on your corporate reputation. So for me, let us realize, as students of this subject, I mean, all of us, including myself, that the concept of the need to keep data or personal data subject, safe, stem from the principle of installing privacy enhancing technology. Because it's a duty as data controller that you hold the data subject. Then of course, that we look at what are the current extant regulation on it. We all know that today in Nigeria, the only regulation we have, extant regulation we have, is still the NDPR. We hope that within the week, maybe within the week or next week, we hope that the President of the Federal Republic has sent to the Data Protection Bill 2023. But I think as at yesterday, the update was that the bill passed after the third reading by the the Senate has been sent to the House of Rep. And from that, we hope it's going to be sent to the President. But the position as of today is that section 2.6, 2.7, and 2.10 of the current NDPR are the provisions that border on data breach and its management. What 2.10, or if you so wish, regulation 2.10, borders on impossible fines on data controllers. So that section talks about what kind of fines will be applicable to a data controller considering the size of the information of data that you process. Now, section 2.6 or regulation 2.6 talks about the fact that you need to install comprehensive facility for proper storage and comprehensive storage of personal data. So, and I'm saying this because if we are talking as lawyers or law students, we need to go over and above technical analysis of these things. We need to bring in what is the legal perspective to it. And of course, I can see that the moderator is giving me some body language. Maybe this will be a step to stop. Then I think other points will also come by way of responses to the presentation. I realize that the presentations are actually a departure from what we had last week. I'm sure Mr. Emmanuel will also agree with me, particularly when it comes to the form. I mean, today the two slides I saw were better presented. I mean, their form. Fantastic. So please let me stop at this point then. I take it from responses.
Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Gabriel, Mr. Solomon, sorry. My facial expression was not sending any message earlier. So please, I will encourage everyone to put on their videos. We take quick screenshots of our Zoom meeting. We all know the reason is for our post on LinkedIn, on our profiles, and when we are writing what we learned from today's session. So I encourage our mentees to put on their videos. Thank you very much as you do so, and our mentors too. And please smile for the camera. I'll just smile for 30 seconds. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Emmanuel is on transit. Okay. Okay, I've taken some screenshots. So quickly we'll be taking our mentees presentation. Presenter 1, I hope you are ready. Presenter 2 should also start preparing to make his or her presentation. So I'm calling on presenter 1. You can start now. Kindly note that you have 10 minutes to summarize your presentation.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Let me just quickly share my screen.
Good evening.
Okay. All right. Can everyone hear me? Okay.
Yes,
so
we can
good
hear
evening,
you.
everyone. Timmy.
We can hear you.
Oh, all right. And I'll be representing group 1. So our topic for today is data breach management, and I'll be giving an overview of what a data breach is, the types of data breaches, the causes, and the general impact. So the term data breach is one that I'm sure all of us are very familiar with. It is possible and very likely that at least 60% of us present here have been victims of a data breach. And with the dawn of the fourth industrial revolution and the digital age, data breaches have become a significant concern that needs to be tackled. So before we go any further, I would like to define what a data breach is. Simply put, a data breach refers to any security incident whereby an unauthorized person gains access to confidential information. This can be either personal information or information of a corporation. Now, as you can see on the slides, there are several types of data breaches. I will just be discussing a few of them. So first we have malware. And malware is basically the short form for malicious software. And this is basically a software that is designed to disrupt a computer system or network. It changes the way in which the system works, and this can include viruses. Another type of malware is ransomware. And what a ransomware does is that it either restricts a user's access to their system, or it can also, the assailant can also threaten to release certain information from a user's system. And the key thing about ransomware is the fact that, similar to kidnapping, the perpetrators ask for ransom. So it can either be a sum of money, or it could also be maybe an action that must be done to avert the attack. Another type of data breach is phishing. And phishing is a social engineering attack. So what happens here is that the attackers psychologically manipulate their victims into giving personal information. So try and paint a picture for phishing. Let's say you use Zenith Bank, and the attackers basically cloak themselves in the guise of being Zenith Bank. They send you an email maybe, and they say, oh, there's an issue with your account that needs to be rectified immediately. And you have to either maybe click on a link or send personal information. And by doing this, or by either clicking on the link or sending that information, they gain access to your personal information. Other types of data breaches, as you can see, include insider threats. This is when someone from within an organization carries out an attack. There's also physical breach, where someone maybe physically goes into, robs a house and takes someone's personal information. That can also be a breach of their personal data. All right. So as you can see on the slide, there have been notable data breaches that have occurred over the past couple of years. And one of this data breach is the Yahoo breach of 2016. So I don't know if any of you still use Yahoo Mail, but a few years ago, Yahoo was a very big deal and everyone was using it. And the initial attack on Yahoo Mail, actually on Yahoo rather, happened in 2013, and it affected 3 billion people. And then there was a subsequent attack in 2014, which affected 500 million people. However, it was only in 2016 that Yahoo actually came out to disclose the details of the breach. And this was during an acquisition of Yahoo by Verizon, which is a wireless network operator. It was reported in 2016 that the cookie system of Yahoo was exploited, and the hackers gained access to the names, the birth date, the addresses, and passwords of the users. Another notable data breach was the Facebook data breach of 2021. And similar to the Yahoo data breach, the initial attack did not happen in 2021. It actually happened in 2019. But it was only in 2021 that the assailant released the breach data for free online for people to access. And this affected 533 million people, and included the names, the phone numbers, and Facebook IDs of the victims. And this is a very crucial information. So in order to avoid data breaches, it's important to understand what the causes of data breaches are. And the first and most common is weak credentials. So this is when someone has a poor password, their pet's name or their birth date, or maybe just words or just letters or just numbers as their password, as opposed to using passwords with, a combination of letters, numbers, and symbols. Another cause of data breach could also be negligence. This is either by an individual or by a corporation. So You can be negligent where you leave your phone lying around for someone to access, or you fail to put a password on your phone and anyone can just break into it and take whatever information they want. Corporations can also be negligent where, for example, they fail to keep up with their routine maintenance or update their network, their servers, or their software, things like that. Corporations can also be negligent where they grant excessive access to data to network users. And this last point sort of ties in with the third cause of data breach, which is the misuse of privileged access. So this third cause is basically a scenario where big corporations give excessive access to personal and sensitive information to their employees. And these employees may be by reason of greed or malicious intent.
All right, thank you very much. Listen. Can you all hear me, please? Hello, can you all hear me? I'm calling on second presenter to start his or her presentation. Presenter 2. Okay, I think we lost Blessing, but she's getting for now. Blessing, are you back? Hello.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. We lost you for a minute.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Should I continue from where I left off?
Yes, you can continue. You have 3 minutes more.
I'll try and speed it up. Okay. Can you still see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay. So usually when data breaches occur, parties would want to take legal action, and there are key considerations that corporations should note. And the first is privacy laws and regulations that are relevant within the related jurisdiction. So if it was a jurisdiction such as Nigeria, the relevant laws and regulations would be the Nigeria Data Protection Regulation, which is established by the Nigeria Data Protection Bureau. We also have the Cyber Crimes Prohibition and Prevention Act. Another key consideration that should be noted by corporations is the duty of care, which is imposed on them. And this basically requires them to protect the personal data that they collect and store. So if it can be established that they failed to adequately and efficiently execute this duty, legal actions can be taken against them on the grounds of negligence or even breach of contract. The affected parties can also claim statutory damages, and statutory damages basically predefined amounts which are awarded to the affected parties by statute. There's also a possibility for the affected parties to take class action suits. So this is where the affected people, like different individuals, come together to collectively claim compensation or redress from the corporation. So now we have the impact of data breaches. So the data breaches don't only affect individuals, they also affect corporations, as we have seen. And the way they affect individuals is by basically they lose their sensitive information, one. Two, they can also fall victims to identity theft because their personal information will be taken by criminals or criminal perpetrators and can be used to make fraudulent accounts, carry on other criminal activities. The impacts of data breaches for corporations are even more. Firstly, we have the legal and regulatory fines and penalties that are imposed by them by regulatory bodies where they have failed to protect or adequately protect the personal data of their customers. And this in turn leads to financial loss for these corporations because firstly, they'll pay the fines. They might also need to pay compensation to the affected parties. They will also need to pay their legal fees and things like that as well. And then it can also, data breaches can also result in the loss of intellectual property for these corporations, especially those that are within a competitive market. For example, a pharmaceutical company which has been carrying out research or maybe a cancer cure has finally made headway and they are the subject of a data breach or data breach attack. And this information is basically taken and it's leaked to the public. Their competitors can use this information to gain an advantage in the market and maybe create a competing product. Another impact of data breach would be overall operational downtime because business can't carry on as usual due to the data breach. There will be certain things that will need to be done before the organization can start up and continue running again. And then the overall impact of data breach is the reputational damage it causes to the corporation because you lose the trust of your customers, you lose their confidence. And even for future potential investors, they might withdraw due to these data breaches. This brings me to the end of my presentation. As we have seen, data breaches are very, very significant and they have the capability to influence the lives of people and bodies. And it's important for us to, now that we know the causes of this, such an attack, it's important for us to develop and adopt preventative measures in order to avoid the occurrence of data breaches. And yeah, this is the end of my presentation. Thank you all for listening. I hope I was within the 3 minutes.
Thank you very much, Blessing, for that wonderful presentation. But when you came back, you didn't share your slides.
Oh, I didn't share my slides.
But
oh,
thank
I'm
you
so
very
sorry.
much.
I thought that I did.
I hope our presenter, the second presenter is ready. The floor is yours now. Presenter 2, please, we are waiting for you to start your presentation. You have 10 minutes. Michael, are you the presenter 2? Presenter for group 2 is God Success. Presenter for group 2 is God Success. If you are not on the call, okay, we'll move on to comments from our mentors on the first presentation and probably the slide from the second group. I'll start with Mr. Emmanuel. Please, any comments and corrections on the mentee slide?
Okay, thank you very much once again. And I would like to say that presentation, super beautiful. And the slide as well, very rich. And I appreciate the way the presenter marshaled everything. I would just like to add some kind of forms in which this data breach could occur, which could include human error, malicious activities, and also system, like computer system error. So when we talk about human error, this could include like lost in the like personal data lost, or maybe losing your computer or your notebook or any device that contains your data. So this may lead to a breach. Then when I talk about malicious activities, just like the presenter mentioned, social engineering, hacking, phishing, and every other form of external activities that will bring about like malicious activities. And lastly, computer system error, where software developers don't do their job properly. There may be bugs or backdoor or vulnerability in the system, and at the end of the day, this could bring about data breaches. So, in overall, I would say wonderful performance, wonderful slide, and I'm very impressed. Thank you very much. Sorry, we can't hear you. You're muted.
Thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel, for the comments on the presentation. I'll be calling on Mr. Solomon, while we are also informing the Group 2 presenter. Any member from Group 2, please prepare yourself to step in on behalf of the presenter after Mr. Solomon's comments.
Okay, so please let me get the groups again. The group that finished their presentation is Group 1 or Group 2?
It's Group 1.
It's Group 1. Okay, so because I think I observed that one group doesn't have the number of the group on their slide.
Okay.
Okay, so Group 1, yes, let me say this. Your presentation comes across quite analytical, and you took us through the causes and impact of data breach. That's fantastic. And but you know, before going further, let me find out about something. Up in that group, anyone who is not a lawyer or a law student? Please, did we hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, I said, do we have in that group or any of the groups anyone who is not a lawyer or law student?
Group 1 members, please, you can answer that question.
I don't think we have anyone that's not a lawyer or a law student.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much. You know, what I needed to be sure before I actually give my critique of your presentation. Now, why your presentation, like I said, was quite analytical and interestingly taking us through the causes and impact of data breach while analyzing management thereof. That when it comes to data protection as a field in itself, it is not an exclusive reserve of lawyers. Even if you know, under the data protection regulation in Nigeria today, the experts working on data protection include lawyers, auditors, even accountants work as data protection experts. So the point thereof is that now when a lawyer makes a presentation, it has to be different from when an auditor makes a presentation on data protection. Now, I went through your slide and I did not come across a single decision, a single case law, not one. And let me be clear, it does not even have to be local, could be foreign decision. But we're talking about local decision. If I don't know of anyone, I know of Digital Rights Lawyers Initiative and Lagos Inland Revenue Service, LRS. There was a case of data breach against LRS, and the RLI went to court. Aside the lawsuit, then the then Data Protection Supervisory Authority in Nigeria, NITDA, actually imposed a fine of 1 million on that agency. Now, we all know as lawyers or students of law that cases are application of legislation or regulation. And they make understanding of the principle of law easier. They drive them home. And that's why we're different from other professionals. Sometimes some of us will be involved in litigating those cases. And the understanding went on in the courtroom in those cases than someone who is not a lawyer. And maybe for benefit of general overview on the subject and some other subjects within the scope of digital right, I'm going to make available to everyone in the room e-copy of a compilation of digital right judgments in Nigeria by DRLI. Though about 90% of the cases on it are on data protection. As a matter of fact, I think with all sense of modesty, if you have come across 10 cases on data protection in Nigeria, 7 of them were by DRLI, either in the name of DRLI or by DRLI's lawyers for a private applicant or plaintiff. So we have a compilation that have cases on data protection, digital identity, online expression, and all of that. So we have hard copies, we have e-copies. I can make to everyone here so that for purpose of further presentation, you may look through it and see a case that is relevant to your discussion. So, okay, moderator, can I stop here? Because I can see your hand up already.
No, I was clapping. I was happy that you were going to share.
Great. Great. So number one, so that's the please, as much as possible, let it be that when you're not bringing up a case, it shows that there's no case that exists on that subject. Please. So that stands you out from a fellow of Chartered Accountant of Nigeria, Office of Chartered Accountant of Nigeria. It stands you out from any other expert. Even when you are for a lawyer who is a year older than the bar, when you make a 1-paragraph presentation, an experienced accountant, experienced auditor, read it and say, oh, a lawyer must have written this. Okay, so the next thing is, I think your slide number 7. Let me see number 7, page 7 or so, where you talk about legal regulations and institution. Please, can I have the presenter for that group to respond to this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Blessing, can you remember that page? What page is it where you mentioned legal regulations and institutions?
That's slide 7.
7, thank you. Now, the first part of it, I don't think you need to have written legal regulations and institution, and I will tell you why. Under that column, all you have done is that you listed applicable regulations. Is that correct, please? Can you correct me? Please correct me if I'm wrong.
You're correct, sir.
Okay, so in that case, I thought you should just have mentioned legislation/regulations, and that would be enough. Now, when you say legal regulations, then that takes us to interpretation of what you have written. Now, a regulation is actually a subsidiary legislation, like you can call it a small law or something. Now, but then it still has a legal validity. It's an element or a soul of legality. So when you call it legal regulations, should we expect illegal regulations? So which are the things? I mean, it's a matter of professionalism in your presentation. I know what you meant. What you sought to project to us is the regulations that are applicable, which you have said. So please just take note of that. And pretty much, I think aside that, everything is fine. Now let me say this. Maybe this also will apply to the second group. Please, in our learning curve, and that applies to me, that applies to those who have gone ahead and all of us, as long as we are still learning. It is not all the time that we are going to have, oh, excellent, fantastic. I give you 98%. You see, listen to me. I could remember a joke. Today I can call it a joke. When I was in primary 4, I went to church. Then I was going out of church, running around, and one of these, children teachers stopped me. I said, "What class are you?" I said, "Primary 4." I said, "What's it? Meaning you have finished school." I was excited. I mean, I was not doing that. After primary 4, there's secondary school. I want to go through the university. There's 400 level at the university and all of that. So now at that moment, I was given a false hope of what is it called? Accomplishment. Well, whatever it is, I will call it, it served the purpose of the teacher, the student teacher. So, but my point is that please, yet it's okay for us, for mentors to say, you've done well. And that was why I also started by saying, pinpointing the things you did well. But please, maybe someday you come across a mentor or a senior that is not as kind as some of us would be. Please focus not on their description or their poor description of your hard work. Focus on the challenge they have put before you. And trust me, someday, you will be grateful that you got that correction, that you got the substance of the correction and not the form of it. Please take note of that. So I think that will be all for my comments on your presentation. Well done, well done.
Thank you very much, Mr. Solomon. While we are still waiting for Group 2's presenter, I think I can see a few Group 2 members on the call. I will call on them if you are ready, if you can help us out to be a backup presenter. Ifunanya Chukwu, I believe you are in Group 2. And who else? Enara, I believe you are also in Group 2. So if any of you can step up to make the presentation, I believe you all have the presentation. I encourage everyone to ask questions for our mentors. If you have any questions in the course of your research. So I'll also be asking the questions that were sent by our mentees for our mentor. So the first question, I think Mr. Solomon was also talking about a question when he started his talk today. I'll just give him the floor to answer the question for us. Are the terms data breach and data leak synonymous, or can a distinction be made between those two terminologies?
Okay, let me try and help in the presentation.
Okay, sir, please just hold on. Let's get the presentation for Group 2.
Okay.
All right, Ifunanya Chukwu, thank you very much. You can start now.
Okay. My name is, good evening, everyone. My name is Ifunanya Chukwu. So I'll be presenting on data breach management, detection and response, then best practices for managing data breach. We all know what the definition of data breach is.
You can also share your slides if you can.
I can
share your slides, please.
That's the thing. I don't have the slides. The slides were not shared on the group. So
okay. You can
should I continue the presentation?
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, so the data breach can be detected through signs. So there are two kinds of signs that you should look out for when checking for a data breach. The first time is a precursor sign, and then there's an indicator sign. So a precursor sign, there are signs that show that there is a possibility or there's a high risk of data breach happening within the organization.
And then indicator signs are signs that the data breach has happened or is currently going on in the organization. So, and let me give you an example of a precursor sign. A precursor sign could be where there is a vulnerability in the system. For example, in the organization, there is no antivirus, like the computers do not have antivirus programs to protect against malware and ransomware. And then an example of an indicator sign is when there is a bouncing email. There's an email circulating around with suspicious content within the office or the organization. So I'll move on to data response. So when there is a breach, when a breach is detected, there are 5 steps to take. So that this is standard. You could add extra steps if you want to, but these 5 steps are standard steps that one should take when detecting a data breach. So the first step is like pre-planning activity. This involves conducting a risk assessment test. So the organization will conduct a risk assessment to find out where they have vulnerability. And this in turn will help them create